Hey, it's W5HRO. Well, I have this, all the boards in this thing recapped. I changed every component on that high voltage filter supply board. And I put 500 volt caps, the same microfarad value. I even changed the diodes. I went ahead and to be safe, and that stuff came right off. See, these caps are smaller. Modern caps are smaller than the old ones. And I got a brand new set of tubes in these things, or in this thing. And, I've got the caps on this board all replaced. I replaced the transistor and the diodes. I replaced all the diodes on that board. I replaced there's 3 transistors on this one. I replaced that and replaced the cap on there and a couple diodes. And let's show you what I have here. I have just a thing hooked up with a kind of an external load on it in addition to the tubes. It's sort of a voltage divider so I can check to see what it is on my voltmeter. So I'm going to see half voltage of what's on the tubes. 530 some volts. See, both tubes are lighting up good. So about 500. If I leave it on long enough, it goes to like 535. That's times 2. So it's a little over 1,000 volts with no, not transmitting through it. When I transmit through it, it's going to load it down and it'll do, it'll do more. But I can't leave it on for a very long time because these things get really hot. They're only 10, what are these, 20 watt? These are cheap Chinese ones. Others are 50 watt ones. These things won't handle 50 watts. I already figured that out. Those things are junk. So I always go to the Dale brand, or Vichet's, who makes the Dale brand now, or who took the Dale name over. So I did notice one thing though, when I turn the power switch on, and I hit turn the the preamp on, the bilinear is what they call this amp, the preamp. I can hear the relay click on and off. So that relay's working, and the good thing is this one doesn't switch when I turn it on anymore. But I did notice one thing: the high voltage is on these tubes all the time, just by turning the power switch on. So I was wrong about that. But before, the tubes were shorted, so that's why it killed the board here. So anyway, I guess the high V is on the tubes automatically when you turn the power on. And this is just a TR relay for the coaxial, from in and out to the, from receive to transmit. So that's all I have for now. I just kind of want to give an update on this thing to show you that I do have it working. And I don't know if it's actually going to work. I haven't put any power into it yet. But what I have to do is, I've got one of these pots as the bias. I've got to figure out where I need to tap on with my probe to adjust the bias, the voltage on these tubes. I think it's minus 36 volts or something. I have to look at the manual, the instructions. And the other one is for a swinger. This amp, it was kind of geared for CBers, even though it's an amateur amp, because it works all the way up to 40 meters, right? See the band selector? But it's a swinger. What it does is when you turn it on, it drops the power back way far. Then when you modulate, it'll bounce up a little bit. So if this thing does 90 watts on 10 meters with it off, what I'll probably do is I'll probably adjust it to where it's like maybe 70 watts, maybe 75, or maybe 80 or something, maybe even 60. I'll figure out the best spot to put it. And that's probably the way I'm going to run it. That way it'll always modulate forward. It won't ever back up. But this thing should do probably a little, with the higher voltage, with today's higher line voltages, it should do probably 100 watts easy, but you don't want to run it that high. You're supposed to adjust the load. You're not supposed to run this any more than 90 watts out on 10 meters. That's what it says. Matter of fact, on all the bands with this pair of tubes in here. So we'll see what happens. And I have that Dimco CM1, linear amplifier, that Pi Network input tuner that I'm going to put in line with this, which will make the power come up anyway. So I'm probably going to want to use this swinger mode, and I'll back it down to where it'll bounce up when I talk a little bit, so it never drops backwards during modulation. So that'll be good. So we'll see what happens when I get this thing get the bias adjusted, and I take it downstairs and see if the power comes out of it like it's supposed to, and see if the receive preamp works now. I do hear the relay click, so that's a good sign. So that's all I have for now. I'm probably not going to finish this until later on this week, or maybe this weekend. So maybe tomorrow night, maybe I'll get brave and I'll take it downstairs after I get the bias set and see what happens. Oh, I almost forgot. Notice how I got the meter pulled out of this thing? Well, guess what? Even on this one, the meter's bad. It's not open. Well, it's open because what's happened is these little terminals on the back of the meter that you plug the little terminal, you know, the plugs, they got the little clips you plug on the on these terminals. Well, apparently both of them had come loose, and this one on this side had come loose. And somebody had tape wrapped around it and had put it back together, and the wire's broken off, and I can see where the wire is. So this one I might be able to fix. I hope I can. That if I get it working, I'll probably also add a light in here. This thing never had a light, apparently. They never installed lights in these, so that would be nice too. So I'll have to fix that as well. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to set the bias later tonight. Then I'm going to work on that meter tomorrow. Then if I get it all working, I'll take it downstairs and just cross my fingers and hope the thing works with the radio being driven into it on dummy load. So that's all for now, 73s. This is W5HRO with the Astro M200, which is the same as the Firebird F100.